Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. Thanks to the guys over at Robot Kingdom. Today we're taking a look at the second offering from Zeta Toys. This is their ZA-02 Whirlblade, part of their Armageddon combiner. Now this is of course a third party's masterpiece inspired take on the Combaticon Vortex. Their first figure, Takeoff, based on Blastoff, had a mixed reception because of his more modern aesthetic, keeping him very close to lifelike vehicles. I myself personally really loved the figure. I was genuinely very impressed with the size and quality of the figures that they could deliver for a fraction of the cost of some of their competitors. And Whirlblade, you'll be happy to know, is exactly the same. The box offers us minimal information. We have Bruticus in his combined form on the back there, and we see Whirlblade in his very modern helicopter mode. Whirlblade comes packaged in a foam insert, something I really wish all third parties would take on board. And here we have him out of his packaging. Now, like I said, the Zeta Toys are getting mixed reviews because they do tend to carry some side and arm kibble, kind of making them stray slightly from their Generation 1 animation counterparts, but they have been brought into the 21st century with very lifelike alt modes. These are kind of the characters I wish kind of Michael Bay had have used in his films. We get a very realistic alt mode based on today's world, and then we have a robot mode which nods at the animation model, but at the same time kind of brings it forward and making it a very modern character. In my opinion, what Zeta are offering here are the best of both worlds. I think they're trying to appeal to both the kind of Bayverse fans, because this would look fantastic in with a Bayverse collection, and at the same time it's appealing to those G1 fans. They want a G1 style Bruticus. When this guy is fully combined up into Bruticus, he is going to look incredible. I've seen the teaser pictures online, him done in his grayscale, and it looks fantastic. Now, placing Vortex to the back there, we do actually get two collector's cards with this. We get one for Takeoff and one for Whirlblade. Just flip them over. We have a very kind of G1 inspired tech spec. These are nice solid cards as well. This is much more the sort of thing that I was expecting. These are almost like credit cards. And then we get this. To get this guy as cheap as possible, they've shipped him in his robot mode, and we have to apply our own rotor blades. I'm happy with that because it's kept the price of the product down drastically. But some of you may not like the idea of having to add some bits to your figure to make them kind of displayable. But I personally don't mind this, and I'd personally prefer to pay a lot less for a figure to do a very minimal amount of work. Let's take a look at the weapons first. He gets a nice rifle. I do like this kind of teal colour that they've used. It's very much the same as what they've used with his legs, chest and head, but it's very nice. It's always got like a metallic flake to it. It's a very kind of G1 inspired weapon. It's simplistic yet effective. We get two of these kind of undercarriage missiles, and yes, they do fire, and it's very powerful. It's a very strong spring-loaded mechanism. You just tap that in and we get two of these. We get two parts of the rear rotor blade as well as a fin, and then as previously mentioned we get the blades, and we also get a baggie with some pins to push the blades in and some screws for those tail rotors. Right, we've got these pins here. It's very slight, but if you notice, one end is slightly pointed. That's pushed down so the tip is just poking through. That should then allow us to push this over, and that's now going to be exactly where we want it. You want to grab yourself some pliers or something similar. I mean, I've even used two spoons before now, but ideally you want something which can apply force to the front and rear at the same time, just to punch the pin. Up, and there we go. That is the pin in. It now allows the propellers to bend backwards and forth. Grab the two sections of the propeller. They are going to just push and tab in together so it's flat, and then just insert a screw and tighten that up so it's on there. There we go. And then slide that blade in the other side, and then how we have them positioned on the rear is entirely up to you. These do bend either way, and you just have to pull this tail fin section down, fully extends, allows us to slide that in between. But there we go. There is Vortex in all of his glory, and yes, you can see that from the back. Does it bother me? A little bit, yes, but I know what this guy turns into, so I will take that hit. Let's take a closer look at that sculpt. That's a very good head sculpt on there. I like that a lot, and I really do love that use of colour. The paint applications are pretty much impeccable, much like they were with Blastoff. His arms, is it me or do they look slightly stumpy? It may just be me. It's because these forearms are very chunky indeed, but at the same time it's kind of in keeping with the rest of his body. Now we do get the weapons which can fit into the palm of the hands. We have a kind of Make Toys style groove on the inside of the hands, so you don't actually have to close the hands themselves to keep the weapon in place, but it's a very nice look for him. And again, the weapon does look good. It's just, I just still can't help but feel that his arms look just a fraction too small. Now I'm not entirely sure if this is the correct location for storage, but the missiles do just fit on the side of those legs there, and we've already got these pods that come out, so they are fairly well hidden. The backpack isn't as bad as I would have envisioned. Yes, we've got these big thruster sections on the side here, or turbines, whatever they are, and you do have the propeller piece, but it's not terrible. A lot of people are saying they're getting the Movieverse Blackout kind of vibe from this. Yeah, I can completely see that, but like I said, I think it's a very good compromise between the two kind of universes, and it's kind of bringing the fans together. Now let's take a look at his articulation. The head can look up quite nicely, and we can go down, we can go left and right, and we do get some quizzical tilting. The shoulders can come forward on a friction joint, they can come up, and they can also come up on a very stiff friction joint, so we can get a pretty good range there, and we can bring that shoulder all the way to the front. We get an upper bicep rotation. The front of the shoulder pads can lift up, allowing for a almost 90-degree bend on that elbow. The wrists can rotate, and the fingers, as previously mentioned, they are pinned through and all attached. There is no articulation on those or the thumb. And the waist has not one but two rotations, both top and bottom. There is unfortunately no abdominal crunch. We get hip skirts front and rear, which allow for the legs to come this far forwards and this far back. Some hindrance by the propellers. We can come out to the side on a lovely ratchet. We get an upper thigh rotation, and we do get a just below 90-degree bend on that knee, but it is a very nice solid bend nonetheless. The feet, get a lot of range on these feet. We can go up and down, we can go left and right. That's always very welcome. A lot of the time we'll get up and down and we'll get some pivoting and some tilt, but you won't ever get a left and a right. With this guy, you do. So although he's somewhat bulky, we can still get him in some fairly dynamic action poses. Speaking of bulk, Vortex is made up of a very good balance of plastics and die-cast, weighing in at 516 or 17 grams. That's 18.2 ounces. And from footplate to turbine stands approximately 9 inches. That's about 22.5 centimeters. Now, a few of you asked for a size comparison to the Warbotron version of Bruticus. Unfortunately, I no longer have the Warbotron version. I actually sold it along with the oversized version of Warbotron. Unfortunately, it needs must, and I needed to put dinner on the table. But as you can see here, I've got my Machine Boys Vortex out of my parts box. The propellers broke on him, so he's in there for spares and repairs. But as you can see, it is a completely different league. The Zeta Toys offerings have really impressed me. I know they've come from Toy World, but man, and they are stamping their authority on the masterpiece style combiner market. Right, here he is alongside some of his Decepticon comrades. As you can see, I believe he's slightly smaller than Blastoff. We have the Unique Toys team here, and we've got Starscream at the rear there. I think it's a very good scale. I still stand by my decision to have the Unique Toys in their robot modes, because their robot modes are pretty much as screen accurate as physically possible. And we're going to have the Zeta Toys either in their vehicle modes, because the vehicles are stunning, or, as I would say a majority of you, will have them formed up as the humongous Bruticus. And because a few of you have asked for this, here he is alongside some of the movie leader figures. I think he's probably a little bit too small to be in your collection as a Blackout. I know there are various different third parties making kind of a leader stroke supreme class Blackout, but that being said, the Zeta Toys offerings are so cheap on the third party scale, that is, that I could see a few of you getting an extra one of these and just customizing it up slightly to pass as a very good Blackout indeed. I mean, the vehicle mode alone should be enough to sell it to you. Something I'm not entirely sure about, it's the same with Blastoff. They've painted up the visor. It's got a very nice metallic sheen. I really like that. But the plastic on the back is kind of a translucent section, which would imply to me that they originally intended to have light piping on these, but they decided against it. I'm not sure if that is the case. I haven't seen any of the earlier test shot renders or anything like that, so I'm not entirely sure. But hey, I know there are a few people out there that do like light piping. Maybe it's an option. Maybe they'll do a replacement section to slide right in there, but as it stands, I really like the paint applications on this guy as he is. So as gorgeous as his bot mode is, let's get him transformed up into his helicopter mode. The first action is to just remove his weapons, and for now I'm going to remove these from the side pod as well. So you want to flip open this tab here, and this is going to bring out half of the copter. You want to make sure that you rotate this all the way around, bring it back on itself like so, fold the fist inside this void, close that off, just rotate this piece around so that the pegs are facing inwards, and we can slide that across, bring the shoulder out to the side, lift both of these arm guards upwards and rotate this so that the tabs are facing upwards. Lift the head upwards and that will disengage from this chest piece. Open the chest piece, and then we're going to rotate the head downwards and then close that back off. The back kibble section is just tabbed in. You want to give it a little wiggle and that will disengage from the torso and drop down. You then want to grab the combiner port peg and bring this all the way up to this point and then bring it back on itself so that we're left with something like that. Oh, these joints are stupidly tight, but hey, at least we know Bruticus isn't going to fall apart. Rotate this back piece around, making sure that the blades are out of the way. You want to lift and untab and fully extend the tail section, and then you want to collapse the tail section into the top holes of the shoulders, not the lower ones, the top ones. So just push that in firmly, and we're going to bring these shoulders upwards, and these two circular pegs are going to tab in to the circular holes on the side of the combiner port. Push and slide the elbow joint in so these 2 points now meet in the middle, and you just want to line up the rotor blade, tab in at the top and at the base. Unfold these flap sections, and there's a tab here and a hole here. It's going to be brought across, and that's going to be lined up, and you can just push that in with a very satisfying click. Next, you want to come down to the legs. You want to untab this piece on both sides, and then with a combination of brute force and ignorance, there is a black tab pegged into the knee joint. You want to give this a tug, and that's going to pull this piece away and fold this hinge upwards. And now we can drop the leg sections. This knee is going to shift up and over and then drop into that point. Flip this tab over, make sure that this is flat, and then you're going to just bring the legs in together, and as we do so we're going to just slide this piece under the propellers and then just square that off nicely. These side pods shift on a hinge. It can come all the way over, and that's just going to push and tab inwards. Bring the wheels out to the side, and then bring this piece down, and that's just going to push in on itself, tabbing in nicely to this sidewall. Now a little bit of panel folding origami to cover up the underside of the helicopter. You just want to pull this piece backwards. We've got a section underneath which extends and then extends again. The lower flap needs to be folded inwards. Fold the heel spur upwards. You then want to rotate this entire piece 180 degrees. It's then going to fold all the way around. This tab here is on a hinge. You want to bring it up, rotate it upwards, bring this section upwards, and then push this piece on a slider. And then we can tab all of these pieces together. Bring out the lower landing gear, just flicking those forward. Again, there's a lot of die cast in this. Untab this piece. This is going to come out, this is going down, and we're going to go around. The downside to this is everything's tabbed in, and there's not a lot of clearance for that, but I can't see anything breaking. It's a very secure hinge, and you're going to bring these in, they're going to tab together, and then that's going to push and tab in to the top. We can then sort out these rotor blades, just squaring them off on those pins like so. And then of course, last but by no means least, we can bring in the missile pods, and they are just going to tab in under the wings where I stored them in their bot mode. Finishing touches, just bring the front weapon out, and there we have him in his vehicle mode. That is absolutely stunning. Yeah, kind of blown away by that. It's absolutely massive. The propellers spin without any issues there at all. Same with the rear propeller. It just feels like a massive, great model helicopter. Gorgeous colours. The teal really does kind of pop in this colour, and much like Blast Off, it's a very solid piece. Now I know there was a lot of panel movement. I'm not entirely sure I've got everything tabbed in correctly, but it's pretty much there. I mean, we've got some nice detailing along the side where these windows are. I'm not a fan of these pods. I know it's pretty accurate to the actual helicopter, but that being said, I'm a bit niggly pickety about those because I can't seem to get them completely straight, but that's just me. The window there, you can see it's actually a translucent glass there, and we've got wiper blades on the front, and once again going down to the underside, we have a remarkably clear vehicle mode. Everything is hidden away. You can't really ask for much better. For those amongst you that are curious about his size, he is definitely not small. Genuinely blown away by this guy. And I'm not sure on your thoughts, but I think that's a very good scale. Right, now I don't want to drag this video out any longer than what it needs to be, so let's get him transformed up into his combiner limb. You want to first of all push this piece in. You want to make sure all of the landing gear are retracted. This piece here actually bends down like this. This lower piece slides down on those sliders and then rotates back upwards. Like that. Bend these rocket pod sections back up, tabbing those in, and then open up the shell piece and just move this piece forwards. Open up these lower panel pieces, folding the tips inwards. Fold this piece all the way over, tabbing that in again with this, fold it all the way over, tabbing that in. And as we bring these together, you've got this peg just on the inside there. You want to kind of concertina those in so that that can push down firmly. You can then bring these sections all the way to the front on both sides. As you can see, I've already started to untab these pieces here. You want to lift up this piece, disengaging it from the torso, bring this piece back, and as we bring that back, this again is going to go around. This is where we find we have some clearance issues. You really have to kind of just get it exactly the right angle. There we go, and that goes forwards. These pieces here need to come up, and bring them up. You do this and then tab that down again, pop this up, bring that down, tab that in, straighten this back out. We can then bring this back, tabbing that in again at that furthest set of pegs like this. Now, as you can see, I've already started to take apart the tail fin section. All you want to do is you want to split it either side of the combiner port. You then want to bring the combiner port down, and using the same holes as before, you're going to tab this back into those on both sides. See if I can do it all on camera this time. Tabbing all of these in. Tail fin needs to be bent over like this, and you just want to go along the tail, just sliding all of these tabs back in fully, making sure everything locks into place. And you are now left with something that looks like this. Now, you're meant to have these kind of bent up. There's no real set pattern for them. I personally are going to have them all down. So you've got all of the rotor blades out. I find that kind of gives it more of that cartoony look to it. There is a gap in between these two pieces. If you pull them apart, you'll see there's just a small gap in there. That's where the fist plugs in. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any fists yet. I'm assuming we're going to get those with Onslaught. Please don't quote me on that. They could come with Brawl or Swindle, but I am genuinely very excited for what they have to offer, because this is shaping up to be a very good looking combiner. And just to give you an idea of how big these are, I've got Constructor. He is obviously the same designers. These are going to be very big indeed. Obviously we're going to have some sort of chunk on the end of those arms as well. Very excited for this. We do have exactly the same articulation as we got with Constructor. We'll have to excuse the lighting because he's a very big figure and he's kind of at the top of my display. So the arms can come up and down. This has come untabbed, isn't it? It's very professional of me. We can come out to the side on that ratchet. We have a bend at the elbow, again on a really nice ratchet. We also have a rotation at the forearm. It's just a complete beast. This is how I personally am going to have Vortex's blades. They're going to be out like that. They're going to bash into this, I think, unless I bring this up. But then he can kind of do that whole thing. That may just be me, but that's what I'm going for anyway. I'm going to have some sort of like shield defense thing going on. But honestly, I'm very excited for this set. Once again, I'd like to thank Robot Kingdom for making this review possible. If you have enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, share and subscribe. I've included a link through to the Robot Kingdom page for this figure. This product is in stock now and ready to ship. You are getting a lot of plastic and a lot of die cast for your money. There aren't many combiners out there that are this good. Until next time, from myself and Whirlblade, thanks for watching.